Hey, you found it. You traversed the wilds of the internet. You found my website. You found this video, and this is like no other open house that I've ever had. But here we are doing a video open house. Thank you for watching, and let's get down to business. So I want you to see exactly what life is like for your students who are currently learning remotely. I'm going to try to share my screen with you and pray that it goes seamlessly, all the while knowing that it most certainly will not. So give me a second. Okay. Share screen. And oh, yes, it worked. It's awesome. Lots of practice. Ladies and gentlemen, it's nice to see you all again. Some of you I have had the honor of having your child in my class for 4 consecutive years. Everyone else for at least 2, if not 3. Some of you I've taught multiple children belonging to your family. Thank you for continuing to send them to me. I feel very lucky to be here teaching AP Latin this year with a class that is larger, an AP class that is larger than any class we've had since about 2009. We have 12 kids taking AP Latin, which is phenomenal and is fantastic for me. In case you have forgotten, my name is Joe Meyer, and this is my 16th year here at Glastonbury High School, and let's get crazy. I'm gunning for another 16, all right? I just want, oh, this is what I typically look like when your child sees me. I am going to bring up here on the screen my email address, which by now, after 12 years in the Glastonbury Public School System, or however long you've been here, you know how this works. But I do want to remind you that I'm always available either to you or to your child. And particularly with AP Latin, this group, I have to say, often at this point in the year, kids seem really, really anxious about the work that we're doing. It's a big jump to go from Latin 4 to AP, and everyone this year seems to have met the challenge head on without hesitation. Now, I'm well aware that what they present to me may be very different than what they show you at home. So, of course, if they're having issues, as you always do, encourage them to reach out to me. I want to help in any way that I can. But also, if you see things that, as I always say, if you see things that that I'm missing, particularly in this kind of like bizarro, remote learning, hybrid learning environment where I only see them once a week, please, by all means, reach out. I also just want to let you know your young learners are fairly independent at this point, but I want to remind you, as you've made it to this video, you've probably seen the website, but we do have a website for the class. It has here, this is just a screenshot, but it's got a pretty detailed syllabus for what we're going to be doing this year. It's got a mapped out by the week schedule, and this is all stuff that I have to submit both to College Board to get AP certification, and also to UConn, as this is also a ECE class, and there is a potential, as you know, for your child to get college credit for completion of this year's work. Let me say up front, as I told everybody in the class, this is more than ever is subject to change. These are strange times. We are working towards getting your child, getting my students here ready for the AP exam in May. But last year, for example, we received notice because of the pandemic about a month before that we would not be covering nearly as much, or not nearly as much would be covered on the exam. So the name of the game this year is going to be flexibility, and I think that's going to be just fine. But this is aspirational. Let's call it. This is what we're aspiring to do, and so far we're pretty much on track. So it's great. Okay. Yeah, there's you can see a little sneak peek of the week by week breakdown of what we're going to be reading in class. And not that you necessarily need this information, but I include the calendar that's linked to my Google Classroom page. That if kids are not sure about what they need to do, the assignment will be posted there. Or they certainly can email me. Okay. So this class, what is it? Some of you have had kids that that have gone through the program and are familiar with the curriculum maybe a little bit, but in case you have forgotten, or in case you just don't know, the class is different than the other classes that we've had in that we are reading pretty exclusively authentic Latin literature, almost, in fact, 99.9% authentic Latin literature. We are going to be sight reading from a lot of different authors, but the two authors that we are focusing on are on the left here, Virgil, one of my all-time favorites. We're reading selections from Virgil's Aeneid, which, if you're not familiar, is an epic poem that's about a Trojan prince named Aeneas, who is the sort of legendary founder of what would become Rome. And then moving way ahead in the timeline of Roman history to the 1st century BC, we have De Bello Gallico, which is Julius Caesar's account of his conquest and exploits in Gaul, or modern-day France. As a side note, the only empty classroom I could find to record this was a French classroom, so I feel a little naughty talking about De Bello Gallico in this classroom, but don't tell anybody. All right. I'm going to tell you that I love these works. I always loved the Aeneid, and Caesar I had to warm up to, but now that I've been teaching him for the last 6 years or so, I'm all in on this as a work of literature. And some of the themes that we're talking about, you can see here, are propaganda, war and empire, history and memory, pietas. We spend a lot of time, which is an interesting question for teenagers. We spend a lot of time talking about whether or not we as individuals should have more duty to our family, to the state, to the gods, or to our religion, or to ourselves. This is a thing that young people struggle with. Human suffering. Not that this is relevant in any way to anything that's going on in the world, but the essential question that gets spelled out in the first 11 lines of the Aeneid is essentially, why do good things happen to bad people? Why do we have to suffer as human beings? We talk about issues of leadership. We talk about continuing themes that we've talked about in the course of their Latin careers, the ways that Romans thought and talked about and defined the quote-unquote other, non-Romans, and how they define themselves in opposition to those people. And then also the relationship that the Roman values around the gods and the role that they played in the lives of human beings. It's interesting because our essential question, these are a curriculum that's in many ways dictated for us by the College Board. But I also, as a Glastonbury High School teacher, am charged with having this as the foundation of my curriculum. This essential question, which is, how are we transformed by our study of Latin? And I'll tell you, back in the day when I got to teach a Catullus and Horace class, two Roman poets who, talk about like, getting in fights with their friends and trying to, make out with people and getting heartbroken and dumped and these were things that were immediately relevant to the lives of the young people in front of me. And I was actually really sad when the College Board said I had to give that up and had to start doing Virgil and Caesar. I was frustrated and disappointed. But I'll tell you, if you look back at that list of themes that we covered, to be right now a college senior, I mean, what an incredible, bizarre, difficult, challenging time to be transitioning, right, from being a child to entering college, entering the world, gaining independence, and beginning to form an identity. And I'll tell you, we have two works of literature. One is essentially, with Caesar's De Bello Gallico, is essentially a treatise on how a leader shapes his own message to the people that he is trying to lead. It's essentially a question of propaganda, and as we break down the ways that Caesar goes about spinning his message about what happened in De Bello Gallico, I'm reminded constantly that regardless of your political affiliation, This is something, right, that our kids have to know how to do and need a place to practice, because they're constantly bombarded with propaganda, with messages in the media that are intending to make them believe one way or the other, and they need to have the skills to analyze those messages and to break them down. And then secondly, you know, I hope no one cries this year, but the Aeneid really, really is the story of a society that has broken down and what it means to try to carry on despite it. And I will tell you that never has there been, I mean, I'm sad to say, never has there been a better time than right now in my 16-year career at Glastonbury High School to be addressing those very issues. So my hope, right, my hope is that, yes, this is a Latin class. Yes, we do all the things that we always do. We work on reading comprehension, textual analysis, intercultural competence, grammar and vocab, although less than we have in years past. But my hope is that that they carry the things that we talk about in this class, that this class isn't about Latin, that it's really about helping them make sense of the world around them. And so I hope that, in fact, they are transformed by their study of Latin, and that Virgil and Caesar means as much to them as those authors mean to me, and the way that I make sense of the world. You know, or we could just read some Latin and hang out. Wouldn't be the end of the world. But that's what we're shooting for. Okay. I'm sure you have questions, comments. I am always available, as I mentioned. Just to remind you. Oh, that's the wrong URL, but you've already found my website, so not an issue. But please reach out if you need me. You have wonderful children. I know I've probably said this to you every year at these things. But I feel incredibly lucky that I get to spend now 88 minutes twice a week, with a little change in Wednesday, hanging out with kids whom I genuinely enjoy, who I find interesting and challenge me intellectually. And we just get to sit around and read Latin and talk about Latin. I believe the kids say #blessed. I don't know. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, congratulations. If you know, if you're Julia Walsh's mom, you've been to 9 of these. I apologize if I repeated myself, but sometimes you got to say the important things. You know what I'm saying? All right. Take care, everybody. Valete, gratias, and hope to talk to you soon. Bye.